Hello everyone, Tactical here. Today we have a battle submitted by Scarbrand playing as the Lizardman here, showcasing a double Coatl build. These flying monsters of the Lizardman now has the collision attacks and can be some excellent disruptors against enemy infantry. So let's see what happens in this battle with the double Coatl against the Bretonnians peasants. Now for the army build here, Scarbrand going with double Coatl. Other than that, a Skink Oracle providing some Earthblood heals to keep those single entities alive. Also Flock of Doom to do some good damage against enemy Bretonnian peasant blobs. On top of that, there's the Troglodon anti-large missile attacks that can do some really good damage against enemy single entities and cavalry, especially the expensive Grail Knight. Now let's go through other Lizardman units. A front line of Skink Cohort and some more Skink Cohort with Javelins at the back there. In the skies, more aerial presence. Double Reprojectile Squad, one of them the Colossedon Hunters, led by Tic-Tac-Toe, the Master of Disguise himself. As for the Bretonnians, played by Prussian Prince, a front line of peasant spearmen-at-arms, plus a couple peasant mobs for extra bodies. Behind them, some more men-at-arms for more bodies, and then some peasant bows with pox arrows. Protecting them is a ton of Knights of the Realm with their anti-large attacks, trying to counteract enemy cavalry and monsters. And there's one super duper elite Grail Knight. They'll be supporting Albrecht de Bordeloo here, who is gonna be healed by a Regrowth Life Damsel. Regrowth now has been nerfed. Now the Vigor Refresh is down to 1% per second, so it is gonna be much less effective in keeping your units fresh and ready to fight. Grail Reliquy holding the peasant front line here, providing that immune to psychology to these unwashed chaff of the Bretonnians. And that's it for army builds. Now let's get the battle started. Alright, battle begins and let's go into fast forward, skip a bit of that marching phase. Both armies are closing in on each other, Tic-Tac-Toe leading his Reprojectile Squadron to push up on the right flank, forcing back some of these Knights of the Realm as they do not want to get caught out of position by these swarms of Reprojectile Riders. Coatls are also venturing ahead of the Skink front line there, trying to scout out ahead of the main army. Now here comes the Knights of the Realm charging into the Skink Cohort, but they are receiving a volley of welcoming javelins from the Skinks, and Troglodon jumping into melee, munching up some of these Bretonnian Knights. Speaking of Knights, the Grail Knights are charging into the front line, trying to get some impact damage done against the Skink front line as well to soften them up. But here comes the Reprojectile Squadrons charging in, intercepting the retreating Bretonnian elites. And the Grail Knights are starting to take some noticeable damage. At the back there, Coatl are not standing around idle. Instead, they are diving into the enemy backline here, disrupting the peasants and also dropping in the Chain Lightning, devastating these poor peasant bows with pox arrows. At the same time, the Skink Oracle actively supporting the fights, dropping in the preemptive Earthblood heals to keep the Reprojectiles alive. The Trident from Outbreak thinning out some Skink support, and both sides are now heavily committing to this huge blob fight. On the Lizardman side, the Skink Oracle himself and a Coatl has jumped into the engagement, while more French Knights are also piling in from the Bretonnians army. Outbreak is right in the middle of this mess, and the Skink Oracle is taking chunks of HP from him. Bretonnian cavalry desperately trying to push through enemies and save their liege lord. But the blobbed up French Knights are in a quite vulnerable position here. A Chain Lightning, beautiful cast onto these two units of blobbed up Knights of the Realm. They're also being hit by Flock of Doom, and with the double AoE spell hitting them, almost half a unit worth of Knights of the Realm got evaporated in that spell. That is some major losses from the Bretonnian side, and you can see the balance of power is already slightly in favor of the Lizardmen. Now Skinks are pushing up ahead, but there are still quite a lot of French Knights on the field. Knights of the Realm and Grail Knights charging in, and they should have received some healing to sustain their HP throughout the grind we see earlier. Skink Cohorts are pushing up, but there's a lot of peasants for them to grind through, and they probably will lose out on the grind here, especially if their Knights cycle charging them. We shall see what happens here, as some of these peasant bows are regrouping and start firing back into the fray. These ones are completely untouched and have a lot of ammo remaining as well, so that's going to be quite a bit of firepower remaining on the field. Coatls are diving around on the battlefield, jumping left, right, and center, using their attack animation to carry them through blobs of enemies, and that makes them really hard to pin down. Even if you surround it with Knights, the attack animation might just drag them out of a melee surround, and at the same time, the Coatls being a wonky half-flying unit, it is actually quite hard to hit with regular missiles there, as the attack animations just flops around the unit model, constantly moving its hitbox around and mess with the aiming of any ranged units. Grail Knights, who got another regrowth, is slamming into the blob. Bad news for them though, after all the healing they've received, their heal cap is almost there. They're surrounding and beating up the Reproductile Riders and Skink Courts, but the Bretonnians are blobbing up a bit hard here. A lot of Knights of the Realm are getting hit by that Flock of Doom, steadily chipping away the hit points of these crucial mobility of the Bretonnians. Another AoE ability, this is probably the Trident from Alberic. Yes, indeed, nuking these poor Skinks and will be breaking them off. Skink support is running a bit thin, but whatever remains are piling onto this blob of Grail Knights, just trying to trap them in the melee fight, helping Tic-Tac-Toe and his aerial squadron take down this elite cavalry. Reproductile Riders, Coatls, they're all in the fight, and they are actually being buffed by the ability of Tic-Tac-Toe here. I think that is the Mask of Heavens. Yes, with additional armor and melee defense, the flying units, including the Coatl and the Reproductiles, are slightly tankier than normal right now. And Uranon's Thunderbolt struck the Peasant Bows at the back there, knocking out some of their unit models and doing some pretty solid HP damage. On top of that, once again, the Skink Oracle spamming those Flocks of Doom onto these blobbed up Bretonnians. The Skink Oracle, of course, isn't just a caster, but also right on top of a terrifying beast. The Troglodon is snapping and tearing at Alberic and his Hippogriff mount in melee, doing some solid work with its armor-piercing damage. And let's see how much did the Skink Oracle get in terms of value. Almost 3,000 gold worth of damage value already. The Skink Oracle is carrying the Old One plants all on his back. Really doing some heavy lifting here alongside all the flying units. Now, the Skink Cohorts are piling in, but they are running out of numbers, while Bretonnians still have a lot of peasants left, and there are some Grail Reliquae on the field giving them a little bit of that leadership support. Another Thunderbolt from the Coatl, a bound spell coming in, doing some pretty decent damage. Now, things are looking quite rough for the Bretonnians here, as they mostly only have infantry left. They really need to capture the conquest point and try to achieve a ticket victory, as their mobility here is pretty much depleted. The Knights of the Realm are pretty much spent, not receiving any healing throughout the battle. Most of them are routing towards the edge of the map. Grail Knights are all tattered and beaten on the other side of the map, and they have lost their Blessing of the Lady here. No more damage resistance for them as they routed from battle. They will not be much of a concern in this late game. It is pretty much down to these Peasant Archers and Albrecht to carry the rest of the game here. Maybe the Peasants, if they can capture the victory point and hold out long enough, they still have a chance to win. But right now, the Lizardman here does have that advantage in terms of balance of power. The Coatls, double Coatls especially, will still remain as some pretty decent melee power to just fly around and disrupt those Peasant Bows. You can see doing some pretty nice damage there, and as they fly around, the animation carries them all over the battlefield, and that makes it really hard for the Peasant Bows to aim them down. And you can't really surround them and tie them down with infantry either because of, again, the attacking animation, the mass and whatnot. The Bretonnians need the speed and mass of the Knights to tar pit these single entity monsters, but unfortunately the Bretonnians don't really have that available at this point. Basically, Albrecht will have to carry this and finish off all the single entities himself. The problem is that's going to be a rough task. The Skink Oracle can constantly drop in Earthbloods to heal all these single entities here, and don't forget the Coatls are still quite healthy. On top of that, the AoE damage keeps coming in from the Skink Oracle dropping in Flock of Dooms and the bound spells from the Coatls. Maybe, perhaps they have used up all the bound spells and they won't have any more magic attacks. Yeah, they have used up all the bound spells, but the collision attacks can still do some hefty work against the Peasant Blobs, which is pretty much all that's left for the Bretonnians right now. And yeah, it is looking quite rough for the Bretonnia army. Now the Bretonnians are trying to reconsolidate around that capture point here, pulling back the Grail Reliquae and the Peasants here, just trying to stop the Lizardman from sending forces to capture the point. Albrecht constantly fighting around his own peasants. That is a wise choice here. But oh no, the Grail Reliquae getting caught out of position. Tic-Tac-Toe is chasing after it, trying to finish it off. And once the Grail Reliquae goes down, there's no more immune to psychology for the peasants. More Flock of Dooms flinging out those Bretonnian infantry support, and Albrecht the Bordello here trying desperately to cut down that healing support for the Lizardmen here, just trying to eliminate the Skink Oracle and deny the Lizardmen from their Earthblood. Peasant Spears and Knights of the Realm reinforcing, but it's going to be a tough fight for Albrecht. The Troglodon is still quite healthy, and there is a Coatl helping out, and then of course Tic-Tac-Toe and another Coatl comes in to help. Will be ganging up on Albrecht or Bordello, and now the peasants are trying to pile in on this blob here. Peasant archers are firing from afar, but not doing a whole lot of damage to the Coatl. Perhaps shooting at the Troglodon might have been a better choice, but it is really hard to say here, as all these single entities here aren't great for peasants to shoot at, as they just jump around as they attack whatever units they can find. Albrecht is now dealing with a 1v4 situation. It's not even a 1v3, it's a 1v4 situation with multiple monsters biting on him and all the peasants being thrown onto the capture point, is taking quite a bit of damage, being terrified away by the Lizardman dinos. There's no more Grail Reliquy to keep them in the fight without immune to psychology and whatnot, and Albrecht trying his best to bring this back, doing some good damage to the Coatls, but he's taking quite some damage in return. More peasants rout as the peasant bows ran out of ammo, leaving Albrecht alone against Tic-Tac-Toe's triple dino squad. Army losses hit and Lizardman shall win the day. GG to both players, and now let's wrap up with the army performances. Coatls here definitely got a glow up in the latest patch, getting some solid damage value throughout the game and hundreds of kills. With the new collision attacks combined with their AoE bound spells, they are certainly a terror against the Bretonnian peasants, as the peasants cannot trap them down in melee, and the peasant archer fire failed to hit the constantly moving unit models thanks to the animations. They also have a pretty weird hitbox in melee, being a floaty unit, and even if the infantry and cavalry were able to surround them, they would not take that much damage. Simply flops around with their wings and they will get out of the enemy surround with their attack animations. For the rest of the Lizardman units, the Reproductiles did okay, nothing too amazing here, mostly being carried by the Coatls and the Skink Oracle. Those Flock of Dooms were devastating against the peasant infantry and the Knights of the Realm over time, just draining away their hit points, as the Bretonnian did heavily blob up in this game. And don't forget, the Skink Oracle was very active in melee, using its armor-piercing attacks to hack down the HP of the Albrecht Bordeloo and also the Bretonnian heavy cavalry. Combined with the Earthblood heals keeping those single entities alive, the Skink Oracle carried those Lizardmen hard in the game. For the Skink Infantry, they didn't do too much here, since they are a pretty chaffy unit, while Tic-Tac-Toe didn't do that much damage either, mostly just giving some additional single entity fighting power and giving surrounding flying units a little bit of stat buffs. For the Bretonnian army, Albrecht and the Grail Knight trying hard to carry the game, but unfortunately, the Knights of the Realm here being heavily targeted by enemy AoE spells, including the Coatl's bound spells and the Flock of Doom, took a lot of damage and was not quite able to carry their own weight. Peasant bows, only one of them got back their value, the other not so much, being nuked by chain lightning early, and the peasant infantry also didn't do too much work here against the terror of the Coatl, being routed quite early in a lot of engagements and then being drained down by Flock of Dooms. And yeah, that's gonna be it for today's battle. I hope you all enjoy this multiplayer action, and if you want to see more similar content, be sure to leave a like on my video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich, signing out.